Welcome to this session, guys. In this session, we are going to see that ASM lab, how we are going to practice ASM related lab activities, creating the disks, and then making the partition of the disk. What is mean by the partition, and then why we need to do the partition. After that, how we are going to create a disks in OS level. Then how we are going to create a disk groups, and then how we are going to add a disk to disk group, how many ways we can do that. All these things we are going to see it step by step. In a quick recap of our previous session, what we learned in our previous session, we saw that ASM theoretical part from 10G onwards, introduced ASM part has been introduced, and at that time, if you want to install the ASM binaries in a cluster, we need to download separate ASM binaries. Binaries means software. Okay, separately, and we need to install in separate location, U01 app ASM. This is in different location. We need to install ASM related, and we need to download separate cluster binaries. And these cluster binaries we need to install in separate location, apps cluster. In that way, we are going to do it prior to 11G release, or else I can say up to database version 11G release 1. It means 11.1.0. These versions. This is a major release, and this is a what I can say. This is major release, and this is sub release. Major means this one, 11G, 9i, 10G, 11G, 12C. Those are all the major releases. And R1, R2, release 1 and release 2, you can say as, I can say it's a major version and is release. So mostly in database, we used to have 10G release 1 and release 2, 11G release 1 and release 2, 12C release 1 and release 2. Now, from 12C release 2 onwards, Oracle, the concept of release 1 and release 2, they removed 18C, 19C, 21C, 23C. Inside of that, they are going to release on RU patches. Every patch is going to increase from 19. Suppose if you are in 19C database, that version is going to 19.320. Then it is going to, initially it is 1, okay, 19.001, but 19.32. If you apply one RU patch, it is going to 19.4, and so on. Present it is 19.22 in 19C version, latest one. We will see this one as part of the patch, from which version to which version we are going to migrate it or upgrade it. Not the migrate, upgrade. This is release level upgrade, not the major upgrade. Major upgrade means that is different scenario. From 18C to 19C, if you move, that is a major upgrade. 12C to 19C, if you are moving, that is a major upgrade. But if you are inside of that 19C, you are in 19.3 version. If you move to 19.4, that is release upgrade. These things we can discuss later part, but we will come to this point. Database version 11G, we need to do in this way. But from 11G release 2 onwards, Oracle introduced gradient first structure. This one, what they did is they have mixed up the ASM binaries and the cluster binaries. So ASM plus cluster, both together they released the software that we call it as a gradient first structure. Okay, that is 11G release 2 onwards. Okay, then we learn about the striping and mirroring, all those things. I'll give you a quick explanations of the versions and other things. Okay. Okay, then 12C onward, they have introduced ASM Flex. Okay, 19C ASM Flex has been default. We already saw, right? ASM Flex minimum, how many nodes we required? 3. Even though if you are using 2 node, we can able to configure, but it will show you the third node details. In our previous session, we saw the details, right? Three nodes it is showing. Third node it is showing offline status, right? That is where. And in ASM, how many background processes we are having? We are having a lot of background processes. Apart from all the background process, few are the very, very important backgrounds. One is ASMB background process, RBAL background process, ARBN. And we have mark is there, ONN, PZ, and 9I. These are all different background processes. This ASM BAL yesterday we discussed, right? To communication between your database resource and ASMB will helpful. And RBAL for rebalancing purpose. If you add a disk, remove the disk from the disk group, who will take care of the rebalancing? This RBAL. For this RBAL, child process is ARBN is the another background process. The child process of your RBAL background process. Actual who performs that disk movements rebalancing thing, this internally ARBN will take care of it. Okay. Then these are all the things high level. And if you want to go through these things also. How many, like in ASM, the architecture, how the files is going to store it. Yesterday we saw, right? What is mean by the ASM files? ASM files is nothing but any our control file is one file. If you store that control file in ASM, we call that control file as ASM file. Okay, read log files, data files, anything, any file which is stored into ASM, we call it as ASM files. And how these ASM files will come into the picture. Okay, these ASM files, ASM extents, group of ASM extents, it will form that ASM files will be formed. I can say this arrow. Okay, group of ASM extents. How these extents will form? ASM AU, allocation units, group of allocation units, it forms the extents. Okay, these things, okay, this AU, when is the smallest part in your ASM storage? AU is the smallest storage part. Okay, this size is default size is 1 MB. When you created the ASM disk group, okay, disk group using command line, that default size of your allocation unit size is 1 MB. It is command line. Command line, if you created, if the AU has been given by using GUI mode, like in our previous sessions, like when we are installing the ASM configuration, right? Our rack installation, at the time of we have selected the AU, if you install this or else if you assign the size from the GU mode, it will take 4 MB minimum. So if somebody will ask you as part of that interview, what is the AU minimum size? Allocation unit. Okay, allocation unit minimum size 1 MB. If you are using the command line, but if you are using GUI mode, that is 4 MB. I'll show you that also one more time. When we are going to define how much AU size it required. When you are installing the software, grid software, we are going to mention this. Okay. Disks are nothing but we need to create. Without these disks, we cannot able to make a disk group. Okay, disk groups is the highest level of storage part in our ASM. These disk groups, I'll show you it here. ASM disks. These disks will create our ASM disk groups. Templates and failover groups are different scenarios. This is our file system, how the storage will be there in our ASM. Okay. If you have any doubt during this phase, if you are unable to understand, please feel free to raise your query end of the session or in between the session also. If you have any doubt, let me know so that we can discuss that. Failover groups, you know, right? Like striping and mirroring, when we are doing in ASM, it is going to support failover group, redundancy. We have three kinds of redundancies: external redundancy, normal redundancy. I think I have mentioned somewhere. External redundancy, we don't have any mirroring option. Normal redundancy, one striping, one mirroring. And high redundancy, we have one striping, two mirrorings, right? That is our failover groups. If somebody will ask you, what is your failover group in ASM? You can say normal redundancy. Why you want to go for normal redundancy? At any cost, you used to have one failover group. That means another extra failover groups. If one disk group is failed, we will get the data from another disk group, okay, which is in mirroring concept one. Okay, if you want to take the definitions of these things, you can go with these things. Okay, ASM disk groups, these are the definitions, and failover groups. What is the failover groups and all? These are all the definitions. I'll share this file with you guys. In our previous session, striping and mirroring also, we are going to see this is a RAID. Striping means it's a RAID 0 concept. RAID 0. Redundancy, um, inexpensive array of disk. Redundancy array, inexpensive disk. That is the abbreviation for your RAID 0. And RAID 1 is for mirroring. RAID 1 is for mirroring. RAID 5 also will be there, parity bit check. That is different scenario. No need to think about it. We will discuss as part of that interview questions. Okay. Rebalancing option. What is mean by the rebalancing? If you add some disks, the storage is going to rebalancing all the disks. So allocation unit, this I already mentioned on the top. And ASM files, CRD files, whatever we are going to store, and extends, then allocation unit and ASM disk. The same thing I mentioned in the above also. These two things I'll tell you guys. Okay, what is the fine striping types? What are the types of striping we are having in ASM? Fine grain striping, coarse era striping. This fine grain striping means write the data into the disk groups. Okay, this is the one kind of striping option. ASM internally it is going to functional. Don't worry about these things. Fine grain means it is writing at a time 128 KB chunks, like partitions, 128 KB data. It is going to write it. But this fine grain we are going to use for control files. Remaining all the files, while it is going to write the data, like if I want to write my log files into disk groups, those will write in no Coursera striping format. That just for your understanding, guys. Okay, it's all the technical words where internally ASM itself it is going to take care. We don't need to mention anything. We don't need to write anything. Just you want to understand, somebody will ask you what is our for your understanding purpose. What is fine grain striping? What is Coursera striping and all. Except control files, remaining all files will be stored as part of Coursera striping. This only control files will write into your disk groups in a fine grain striping method. Why? Because control file is a very small file, right? It won't need more chunks, more space is not required. If you are having allocation unit is 4 MB, okay, if your control file is going to write in 4 MB, it may not having 1 MB only, it is having. So rest of the 3 MB is waste of the information, right? But in case of striping, if it is selected fine grain striping, go ahead. It is going to take into allocation unit, even though it's a 4 MB allocation unit, it is going to write only 128 KB striping. If the control file is increased, it is taking one more 128 KB out of this 4 MB, and it is going to write that information in the control files. But in case of our data files, redo log files, in this 4 MB allocation unit, one more 4 allocation unit will be there, another 4 MB. That will be striping, that will write 1 MB, 1 MB, 1 MB data. So 4 MBs. If you are installed your database, if you have configured your disk group via command line, but if you configured your disk group using GUI mode, each your data file is going to write it into 4 MB directly. There is no partitions. Here it is 1 MB, 1 MB, 1 MB, 1 MB. If it is a command line, I'll show you the differences. Okay, that is only we can think about it if somebody will ask you what is mean by the fine grain, what is mean by the coarse. Okay, you can go through the differences of the theoretical part also. Fine grain striping is 128 KB. AU allocation is divided into 1 MB divided by 128 KB. How many parts, how many chunks it is going to create? 1024 divided by, suppose if I can take 1024 divided by 128 chunks, around 8. For control file, it is going to store 8 chunks, 1 MB. If it is a 4 MB file, if it is our AU allocation is 4 MB. 4 MB means 4 into 1024. 4000 divided by 128 chains. It is 32 chains. So your control file is going to write into 32 chains, 32 small parts. So accessing and other things will be very easy. That's why, right, performance it's very high in performance in ASM disk groups. How it is going to design in that way, like giving the fine grained typing, Coursera grained typing, the data it is going to write it. How many chunks is there, how many extensions is there in your ASM, we can use this query to get it. Even we have another commands also, we will get those things. Yeah, before 11G release 2, we already discussed these things. Cluster ready services will be there. Okay, clusterware software differently we need to download, and ASM software we need to download differently. 2 times we need to do it. But from 11G release 2 and 12C1, after 11G release 2, whatever the database cluster versions they are going to release, that is grid infrastructure services only. Before this, we have clusterware software. Before this clusterware software, cluster manager or cluster ready services. This is the name of your clusters. Okay. ASM introduced from 10G onwards only. Before 10G, we don't have this ASM concept. At that time, third-party storage they used to use in Oracle. Okay. These things today we are going to discuss about lab, right? Let us go to start our lab session. These are all the redundancies: external redundancy, normal redundancy, high redundancy. Okay. Let us start our lab session. So if you want to start, how many disk groups we are having, okay, how many disks we are having, we need to check, right, how many data files we are having. Let us check all the activities and then we are go ahead and do that lab. What is this? Did I start my, yeah, it is started. Let me delete this. This is also not required. This is our rack. This is non-rack. Restart. 21 Oracle not required. We already have this. Grid is required. And I'll take one more session for 21 root. This is my root user, grid user, and Oracle user. It blue color. We'll take a second node also if it is required somewhere where we are going to create our disk groups. I'll make grid level is fine. I don't want any other things, but we are not going to use much on this node 2. Everything we are going to performing on this node 1 only. Okay, guys. First of all, we need to check how many data files we are having in our database. Now we need to check the PSI pipe grep. ASM is up, database is up. And if I want to connect to ASM level, how to connect SQL plus S is DBA. This is ASM, not DBA. Through the grid user, I connected to the grid user, right? If I enter this one, can I connect or do you expect any error? Can somebody say tell? If I enter this command, it will allow me to connect to SQL prompt or not. If yes, why? If not, why? Quickly.
Set the environment.
Okay, good. So
Okay.
if I use this, environment is not set, that's where it is not able to allow it. So environment set is very, very important in our things. How we are going to set the environment .env, give the instance name. Now we can try to connect it. Then only it is going to allow. Database applicable data is not open. Show PDBs. Understood. This we can query it from our database level. This is the DB level one, right? Now we connected to with our this thing ASM. We can query the ASM related queries. Okay. This will show you this one, whatever the query I have executed. If I connected to Oracle user here, I connected to Oracle user. From here, if I can use dot ora env raxdb1 SQL plus as is DBA. If I can use this query, this will show you the information. I have these many table spaces, and these are all my data files where it is stored. Okay, under data, our data files, all the systems, sysocks, undo, users. See how many undo table spaces I have? 2 undo table spaces. Undo table space is instance specific. How many instances you are having? Each instance, one undo table will be there. Sysocks and system users tables. These are all commonly, if you are using 10 database instances, 10 node rack, 20 node rack, these are all single only. But undo, if you are using 10 node rack, 10 undo table spaces will be there. That is only one thing. Okay. Okay, how many disk groups we are having by using this command from ASM to connect it to you, this check this one. You can connect it here and check this. I have 4 disk groups. Not the 3. It's a 4 disk groups. And how many disks I have? Inside of our disk groups, this disk is mandatory, right? To create a disk group, we require a disk. And once the disks are filled inside of that, we need to add one more disk, right? See here, I have 4 groups. These are all the disk group disks names. 2, 3, 4 disks I have. And where our disks are there, these are all our disks. ASM disk 1, disk 2, disk 3, ASM disk 0. I have 4 disks in my ASM. Using these 4 disks, I created 4 disk groups with type is what type of redundancy it is? External redundancy. It is not normal redundancy. External redundancy, we don't have the failover option, like what I can say, mirroring option. Only striping will be there. But in case of normal redundancy, we require two groups, two disks. For one group, 2 disks is required minimum at the time of creation. Okay, that we will see it. Now we are going to create remaining things. So if you want to drop the disk, this I can tell you later on. You can leave about it. Now we are going to create the disk group parameters. If you want to see the disk groups, compatibility parameters and all, these are all related to the lab oriented. What is mean by the compatibility parameters and all, right? The one which we are using, customized one, it is taking 11 to O2 compatibility, but the compatibility should be 19C. Okay, these are all as part of our cluster, cluster configuration time or grid installation time. This is our compatibility. Export and imports where you are going to do it. The compatibility parameter is the major one, which is going to compatibility your backups, which you are going to take it. That is high level. No need to club all those things into a single thing. Now we are going to do our lab, creating the disks and creating the disk groups. Okay. Where is my these things? Yep, here. Now we are going to do it, creating the disk groups, altering the disk groups, drop the disk groups. This is our activity as part of our ASM. ASM level activities. So how to create a disk group? Okay. how to create a disk groups, how many ways we can able to create a disk groups. This we will discuss in this part. Okay. And then how to alter when we are going to do the alter command. Alter means existing disks. If you want to, disk is there. If you want to add one more disk add, disk remove, disk modification. All these activities we will perform by using alter command. If you want to create a new disk group, if you want to create a new disk group, we can use this create command. Already existing one, these actions, existing disk group we are going to perform, adding the disk to disk group, remove the disk from the disk group, disk level modifications, resizing and other things is possible or not. Those we can do it by using alter command. And the existing disk groups, how to drop a disk group, how to drop a disk, existing disks and disk groups. If you want to drop, you don't want that existing disk, there is some issue with that disk, how you are going to drop it? By using drop command, you are going to do these activities. We will see one by one these activities. Okay, for that what I'm trying to do is, now I want to show you ASM disks creation. Now I'm not telling about that ASM disks are, ASM cannot read the headers of the disks from virtual machine. Virtual machine is this one. Okay, what all the disks we are having in this virtual machine, if you just create here, you can see here I have these many disks. This one is 20 GB, this one is 18 GB, 10 GB, 1 GB. These are all the disks, VDI, virtual disks. These virtual disks ASM cannot read. If ASM wants to read this information, we need to make the disk partition, and then we need to create one disk for the virtual disk. We need to make a partition. Okay, how we are going to do the partition, how we are going to create a virtual disk. First I'll show you how to create a virtual disk, then make a partition of this one. Make a partition. Suppose you have created SDE virtual disk. This we need to partition, then it is going to SDE1. By using this partition, we need to create Oracle ASM disk. This who will create this one? Oracle ASM tool or binary or library. Oracle ASM library. By using this library, we are going to create this disk. Then only ASM can able to read this disk headers, and then it will write on this disk. This disk ASM can use to create a disk groups. So ASM only deal with your disk groups. ASM only deals with disk groups. It won't read your virtual disk. It won't read your partitions. It won't read, even though you created the disk using Oracle ASM, it won't read it. But this disk, as and when we create a disk group or you add a disk to disk group, then only ASM can able to read it and then write it. Unless this step, ASM cannot perform any operations on these three options. That's where as and when we required any kind of disks, we are going to send a request to storage team. Hey, storage team, on my Rax Lab 1 and Rax Lab 2, any one of that. In the servers, I required couple of disks. My storage is filled up, almost 95%. Could you please provide me the disks? They will provide you this, storage team will provide you this virtual disk kind of one. They will give it to Linux team. Linux team will make a partition and then they will hand over to DBA team. This part is OS team, operating system team will take care. This part is storage team going to add these LUNs. We call it as a LUN. Okay, they will add LUN, 100 GB, 50 GB LUNs. And this LUN, Unix team is going to make a partition. Once this is a partition is done, They will hand over to DBA team. Hey DBA, I have assigned 50 GB LUN to this partition. They will give you dev SDE1. They will share this. This is your LUN or this is your partition disk. By using this, we are going to create a ASM disk by using Oracle ASM command. I'll show you that. After we created this one, and then we are going to add the disk to disk group. These two is our part. As a DBA, we need to do these two tasks. OS team is going to make a partition and other storage team is going to assigning this disk. Okay, this is real time up. I mean, how we are going to get it and do it. But here we are going to do it everything. This step also we are going to do it. This step also we are going to do it and all these things. Now for our lab, I'm going to create 10 virtual disks, and these 10 virtual disks I'll make a partition, and then by using these 10 partitions I can create 10 disks. These disks I can create disk groups. I can add, I can use drop command. To add is I'm using alter command, right? I'll use all our three create, alter, drop commands by using these 10 disks. Each disk I'm going to give 1 GB. Okay, it is like demo purpose, right? We are not going to use huge 20, 30, 40, 100 GB. It is not required. Even though you are going to create 1 GB LUN, the same way 1 TB LUN also you are going to create. You require storage, that's it. Making a partitions and all, it may take time. For 1 GB, you are going to make it within a fraction of seconds, but 1 TB, it will take half an hour, 1 hour to make a partitions. To add also, it will take time. So 1 TB at a time, I don't think so. 50 GB or 100 GB, 100 GB, 200 GB. In this way, we are going to, according to your database, that disk group sizes, the storage size and all. Okay, requirements. Okay, guys. Now I'll go ahead and create disks. Let me write it here. Create virtual disks from virtual machine. To create this, I need to go to my virtual machine. This is my virtual machine, right? Go to click on File, Tools, Virtual Media Manager. Okay, this one. Tools, File Tools, Virtual Media. Okay, File Tools, File Tools, Virtual Media. Go to Virtual Media Manager. Let me write it that also. While you are going to practice, I'll share this text file with you guys. Manager, Virtual Media Manager. From this, you just click over there. File, Tools, Virtual Media. Here you will redirect it to this location. What is this? Okay. Here you just create, these are all the existing groups, okay, disks and other things. And you want to click on create option, okay? Click on create. Once you clicked on that, come on, you will get this virtual hard disk creation one. Select the first one. Select virtual box disk image. Virtual box disk image. I'll write it directly VDI. Select VDI. Right? VDI shortcome, you can able to understand, right? VDI. Then select this pre-allocation, fixed size, whatever you are going to assign, completely it is going to allocate. Select pre-allocation full size. Check pre-allocation. Okay, then click on next. Here, where you want to create your disk group and which location you have a storage, select that location and give the disk location, disk name. How many disks we are going to create, those many. Suppose if I want to create, we don't want to mention huge names and all things, right? Just create D1 or ASM disk, anything you can give. This is my disk one I want to give. And what is the size of the disk you want to give? 1 GB. You have how much size in your system, that much it is going to show it mostly. You can select out of that 1 GB for this disk. I'm going to create file location and size. File location and size. Size I given 1 gig. Okay. Then click on finish. That's it. Click on finish. It is going to create under DR primary somewhere location. Okay, let it be. Later on, I'm going to delete it after the lab is done. So E drive, DR path, primary location, D1 is my disk, which I'm going to create virtual disk. Finish. See here, D1 is coming into here. Creating the medium, it is done. 1 GB, right? It's very quick. Once we created this disk, we need to make a shareable. How we are going to make a shareable? See, if I select this dev DB disk, it is type is normal, right? Type is normal. If I select this, you can see type is normal. If it is a normal type, we cannot share this disk with other machines. Okay, now our thing is we need to share this disk 1. I need to make a shareable. If you can see disk 1 shareable, disk 2 shareable. Shareable means you can share this disk to multiple machines, from this machine to this machine, whatever the machine you want, this disk can able to shareable. ASM, whatever the virtual disk you are going to create, those should be shareable. Otherwise, there is no use. Okay, shareable means we are going to place, our rack is going to support, our ASM storage is going to support in shareable location. We are going to place it, right? We need to make this disk shareable. Make the newly created disk shareable. For that, select the disk type, make it shareable. Click OK. Okay. Select this disk D1 VDI. Here type is, you can change it to shareable. Shareable. Then apply. That's it. It is going to shareable. Now, here you can say apply. Now, if you can see again, earlier it is showing not in shareable mode. Earlier it is shown in different format. Now it is going to shareable. This disk we can add to this machine and this machine later. In this way, I'm going to create 10 quick disks. Okay, let me create another disk. VDI quickly, pre-allocation. Name I'm going to provide D2 1 GB, D2 VDI. Finish. Let me create it. D3. So you can create n number of disks according to your storage, how much size you are having. D3 VDI. Pre-allocating, need to select. D4. Let me check how much size I have in my E drive. 455. Let me create 2 GB. Every time I'm going to create 1 GB, 1 GB. Need to modify all those things, right? Let it be. I don't want to modify these things. 1 GB, whatever it is, how much GB you want, you can give it. D5. For quicker option, I'm going to create that way. Fifth one is done, and then disk group 6 VDI 2 GB. Let it be. Disk 7. Disk 8. We need to create at least like 10, or not only 10, like if you want to do more practice, create more disks. Disk 9. At least if you want to do without compromising, at least 10 to 20 disks, if you can create, you can do almost all labs related things. If you are creating 20 disks with 1 GB, 1 GB, that is okay. So I have created 10 disks here. See here, only one first disk I make it shareable. Remaining are normal type. Quickly we can go ahead and then make shareable. Shareable D10 apply. That will done. Okay, next D2 make it shareable. See, whatever the activity I'm going to do it when the this as well. I mean, our machine is up and running, but this disk is not. We haven't added to these missions, right? So there is no mean what I can say connectivity for disks and these machines as of now. When you are going to add a disk, definitely you have to stop these two machines, add a disk, and then you need to restart the machines. That is required. Make it shareable. But in real time, we are not going to do these things. These things will done by the storage stream. Done. I have make it all the disks shareable. Okay. First cross check one shareable, 2, 3, 5, and shareable. It is a different one. 9 is shareable. Done. I have make it all the disks and shareable. Now this is the time where we are going to select our machines, and then here click on the storage option. If you want, click on the controllers. Okay. See here, you are not getting adding hard disk option is this one, right? If you want to add, you can stop your machine and then you can add those disks here. Whatever we have created, disk 1 to 10, add it here. Then only you can able to see it. As of now, I'll show you our servers machines. Okay. Let me reduce. Yeah. F disk -N. It will from root user. We need to run this one. F disk -L. It will show you how many disks we are having, how many devices, LUNs you have. We have dev SDD is there. Dev SDD. SDB we have. Dev SDB here. Dev SDB. SDD 2 is there. And SDA is there. SDA. SDC is there. 19 GB, around 18 GB this one. This is SDB is 2 GB. SDA, SDB, SDC is there. SDE is there 1 GB. Okay. Total we have five disks is there. These things. SDA has been partitioned in 5 partitions. One LUN make it different partitions. Okay. Each partition it's having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 partitions. SDC single partition. SDC single partition. SDA they make it 5 partition. This is for our installation purpose. I think we can use this one. This is for our disk groups. SDE, it's 1 GB is there. Complete 1 GB, I make it 1 partition. Now, only SDE, up to SDE we have. Now we have created 10 disks from SDE to F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Those will come now. I'll show you those things. And also you can see how many disks you are having. Now, disk, dev, SD. See here. You can see your disks in OS level also. SDA is there. SDB is there. SDC is there. SDD, SDE. If your disk is partitioned or not partitioned, how should we know, right? If SDA is there, under SDA, we have these many partitions. This 1, 2, 3, we call it as a partition. SDB, yeah, we have this partition. SDC, we have this partition. SDD also partitioned. SDE partitioned. This partition disk we used for creating the ASM disks. That ASM disk we can use for ASM disk group creation. Now we have added 10 LUNs. Okay, those 10 LUNs we did not add it to this machine. If you add, you can able to see it here from SDE, right? From SDF onwards, those will come. Okay, quickly stop the server, even on the node 2 also. Switch to root. Let me maximize LSFNLD or else LTR dev SD star. Here also we are having SDD, CEB is there. Those partitions also there. SDA partitions also there. There is no SDE, I mean F. Up to SDE we have SDE. This is the naming format of your disks. Okay. This is a node 2 guys. Node 2, Rax Lab 2. This is on Rax Lab 1. We don't see those 10 disks. Let me stop the machine here. Here also we are not getting this option. It is not enabled. It won't enable when the machine is up and running. Power off. Here I can write it. Power off the machines and add the disks to individual machines. We need to add the machine, the disks, individual disks to machines. So one, select the machine, click on the storage. Select the machine or node one, storage, click on the storage here. Select the controller. Now we got these options. Controller. Then click on the this option, add hard disk. Adds hard disk. Adds. That option you can select. Plus symbol. See, these are all 10 disks. We need to add these 10 disks. Okay. Select one by one. Select the disk. Choose. That's it. Disk 1 added. Select disk. Choose. Done. Okay. In that way, you can add it. Add all disks. Then click OK. Repeat the above step for node 2. Okay. Let me do it quickly. Disk 1 added. And disk 10, I'm going to choose it. Disk 10 added. We can go one by one, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more is left. Done. 3 to 5, 3 to 5, 10. And click OK. We have added 10 disks. See here, you can see it here. Okay, all are added. See, all these disks has been added now. The same way we need to add to your machine 2 also, right? Repeat the same thing. How we are going to select it, click it, disk 1 add, choose. Here once you add it, that will come to attached one only. Why? Because it's already attached to one machine. If you are not attached to any machine, that will come to bottom not attached options. But we already attached, but now I'm going to select it. Be cautious on this part. Okay, what disk we are going to add it, clearly we should be aware of it. Okay, don't add blindly, just be concentration on this, what disk we are going to add it, that's it. Disk 5 thing we can do quickly. Let's see how much quick. 5, 6 is done. 7 done. 8. 9 disks. If you can select a non-shareable disk, right? If you can try to select it, that will again getting error out. So we no need to do all those mess up things. You can check it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 disks. 10 disks we have added. If you are not make it shareable, those will not able to add it. If you are able to shareable, if you make the shareable, then only we can able to add it. Okay. Now I have added to machine 2 also. So node 2 I have added all my 10 disks. Node 1 also I have added my 10 disks. If you want, you can add those things to another servers also, but those are not usable, right? Those are not in a cluster. If you have a cluster node, 4 node or 5 node or 10 node, add the disks, all the disks in this way to remaining nodes also. And then you can start your machines. Start your rack node. Okay. Let it start and then we can see the disks whether it is showing or not in that way. Let it be. Yeah. Till now, do we have any questions? Anything? Advice? You guys are following, right? Please stop me if you are unable to understand anything. Okay. Yeah. This one has been restarted, right? Now I'm going to try to check the disks. Earlier, here only, right? Up to SDE we have. See here, LD up to E. But now we have added 10 disks, right? From SDF onwards, it is added. These 10 disks has been added from F to O. If you added another thing, it is going to PQRST, remaining 26, whatever the Z, up to Z, it is going to take it. How many disks you have? Later on, it is going to change that name. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6, or any other name it is going to take. Whatever it is, whether we make it, those will add it or not, that is the issue. Okay, I mean, that is the thing which we require, not the issue. This is the node 1, we can able to see it. The same thing can we check on node 2. If you want to see, you can connect it to root user, or else I can do one thing. Let me
So
connect
can I
node
ask
2.
one doubt, sir?
Yeah, you can ask it.
So before adding, can we do Oracle some scan disk and disk?
Hmm, that is fine, we can see it, no problem. I'll show you
So
that. I'll show you that.
యాడ్ చేసే ముందు స్కాన్ డిస్క్ చేసుకోవచ్చా అని.
Understand? I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. These are all OS level LUNs, which I am going to show you. But when you're going to add a disk or creating the disk, initially I showed you, right? Here, how many disks we are having. See here, from by using ASM disk, we are having this disk name. These are all the disks we have. In our instance, at present, these are all the disks. We haven't created any other disks till now. We just created the virtual disk. I'll show you one more time. Let me check the status and I'll show you where it is. Grid, right? PS-EF, pipe prep, S1. Yeah, ASM is up and running. Let me show you quickly. Dot vara env plus ASM1. SQL plus SSD. We haven't made the partition also. So there is no disk group created. If you make the partition, later on we need to create the disk group. How many disk groups we are having, you can see it by using this one. Okay, this command will show you how many disk groups we are having. As of now, we have archive, data, data group, OCR. This I have created yesterday, day before yesterday, for testing purpose. So we have these 4 disks groups. How many disks we are having in our ASM at present? How many disks? Let me check. And the path. Set line size 200, page size 500. Try it. No problem. Cool path. format A 25. Yeah, 25 is okay. 32. Cool. So by using this $V ASM disk, we can see it how many disks we are having. We have ASM disk 0, 1, 2, 3, 0. 4 disks we are having. 4 groups we are having here. Okay, 4 groups, 4 disks. Each disk I used to create one disk group. This by archiver one. For archiver disk group, I used this disk. For my data disk group, to create the data disk group, I used this disk. For DG or D group, okay, for D group, I used this disk. For OCR disk group, I used this disk. So now we have added 10 virtual disks, right? By using 10 virtual disks, we need to create a disks, ASM disks, like ASM disk 4, disk 5, disk 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to create in that way. After that only, we can use those disks to create ASM disk groups. You understand now? Simply, I'll explain one more time. Virtual machine we are using. From the virtual machine, I have created disks. ASM cannot read this disk. Generally, we call this disk is VDI one, right? Virtual disk image. ASM cannot read this one, virtual machine, whatever we have created. For that, we need to make a partition. This disk, we are going to make disk 1 partition. Even though you make the partition, ASM cannot read this partition. ASM cannot understand these headers, cannot read these headers of the disks. So what we need to do? For this partition, after you make the partition, you need to create the disks like this. You need to create by using this disk 1, you need to create ASM, any name you can give. For understanding purpose, I'm giving ASM disk 4. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 0, right? You can give 4. After you created this disk, ASM can't read directly this one. Even ASM can't read this one. But this one we are going to create by using Oracle or Vara ASM library. Vara ASM library. This library is going to create this disk. By using this disk, we are going to create our disk groups. These disk groups, archive, data, disk group, OCR, whatever the disk groups, the name you can give it any name. ASM can read only these disk groups. It cannot read anything. Till this part, all these 3 steps, ASM cannot read it. It can read only the disk groups. If you want to create these disk groups, we need to do this structure. We need to follow this order. Then only ASM can able to read it. Once you have made this disk, right, this disk you can add it to newly created one, this 4 one. Okay, not this one. This newly created one, if you want to add to archiver disk group, data disk group, DZ group, any one of that, you can add that one to any one of the disk group. Then only ASM can able to read and write that information into that disk. Till now what we did this part only. We need to do this partition part, we need to do this, and we need to create the disk. Three steps is left. Okay, this is the order. Once you have gone through it, once you practiced it, you will get to know. But this is the hierarchy from the virtual machine. Storage team will create a LUN. We already created that. Those are VDI server or VDI storage. ASM can't read these things. We need to make the partition. Partition will help us to use the disk. Unless you are not going to partition, it's a kind of what I can say. Simply, yeah, you have a dal. If you understand or not, our rice one is there, right? Directly we cannot eat rice. Directly human being, somebody will eat it, but that is not a proper way, right? Directly we cannot able to eat the rice. We need to cook it, right? Properly cook we need to do. We need to cook the rice and then we need to eatable. That is digestion also it will happen. If you are not cooking and then directly you are going to take it, digestion will be very difficult to do that. Similar way, whatever the raw disk is there, ASM we cannot use that. We need to make a partition. Then only ASM libraries can read the partitions. Then the partition we can able to create a disk, ASM disk. This ASM disk will help us to create or add to disk groups. To create a disk group, we need a disk. Without a disk, we cannot create a disk group. Disk group means one or more disks combination, club it. We call it as a disk group, right? That is the definition. ASM can able to read only ASM disks. But that ASM disks, we need to make a partition, like make a disk group format. Then only that will be the full-fledged ASM storage. Okay. Now, as of now, we are having these 4 disks. Now I'm going to create a disks. Sorry, now we need to do the partition, then we need to do the groups. Okay. This part is done. Now we are ready to make partition of the newly created LUNs or virtual disks. Any one of name you can call it as LUN or virtual disk. How we are going to make partitions? SDE is not there. SDF onwards we have, right? See here. How many things we are having, like how many disks, virtual disk we are having in our server? F disk -L will show you the list of the LUNs or list of the virtual disks into your server. It is going to show it. See F disk -L. See, I have so many things. SDF is there. We can go with from here. This is 1 GB. It is not, partition is not happen. If the partition is done, it should show like this. If partition is happen, it will show you like dev SDF1 with the size how much. There is no option, right? SDF, SDG, SDH. These are all not happen partition. Even though from here we can able to see it, whether these are partition happened or not. By using this command, you can see these LUNs doesn't have a partition. If the partition is there, like this is a raw LUN. If partition is happening, that one make it as SDE1, SDE2, SDE3, vice versa. Not the vice versa, and so on. Okay, and so on. But as of now, for SDF onwards, we don't have any partitions. Let us make partition of these things. I'll write it, how to make a partition. Yeah, SDF. Let me take this. We need to 10 disks we have added, right? 3 to 5, 3 to 5, 10. F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Till O we have. Let me show you here. Till O, SDO, right? MNO, SDO. We have till these many things. If you want to make a partition, you need to do like this. In root user, under root user, we need to make a partition. So once you enter it here, it is asking to command what we need to give. Just we can see number of options. I'm just giving the M. I want to see the options. These are all the options for F disk, format disk. Okay. The disk we learn. This is a raw disk one, virtual disk. If you want to make a partition, we are going to use N, add a new partition. I'm going to add a new partition. Okay, I'm going to use new partition. If you don't want to save it, if you want to quit, you can quit. You enter Q. These are all the options which we have. But guys, this is for Linux thing. If you want to know, that is good to know. But that is not our DBA job. So what we are going to do it here, we are going to use N option. N means new partition, create a new partition. And last, if you want, whatever you made a changes, if you click W, it will writable table to disk and exit. It will make it a writable, and then the disk is going to exit. For saving option, W means save, and then quit. Now I'm going to do N. I have given N here. See here, N. I have given N. N means add a new partition. I'm going to add a new partition. It's a primary partition. If you don't want to give the primary, you can give extended, right? What is the difference between primary and extended? See, let me, you already have the how much size of this disk. First, we need to check that, right? SDF. Let me show you. SDF, it's 1 GB. If you want to make two half, like 500 MB, 500 MB, you can make it. At that time, you can select extended, and then next 500 MB you can give. Then you can again, from 501 to 1073, you can create one more partition. Like our SDA, see, I'll show you SDA, how it is going to partition. See here, SDA has been partitioned. It's completely how much size? Around 85 GB it is showing. Each partition, okay, extended partition. See here, they have created one extended partition, SDA4. From which block? 146, 775 up to 775. It has been ended with this partition. Next, from 776, okay, onwards, another partition started. 1 second. From this one to 159. After that, this is extended partition. The link is going to cut it on this part after you make it extended partition, and again it is going to take it from 824 in different one. So the same partition, they are going to make it another one. Inside of this partition, they are making one more, the blocks which are used inside that we are making some other partition purpose. So it's very, very difficult to understand in a single word. So don't think much. Extended partitions, we are not going to do it. That is very rarely in different scenarios. Linux team is going to do that. But just whatever we are going to create, think about primary partition. That's it. Make it all the values default. Primary partition, I did not enter anything. I just entered. And then partition number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is the partition number? You can go with the default. At the size, from which partition to which partition you want to give. 2482 up to this one you want to give, you can give. And remaining size, you can give in next partition. We can divide it. Suppose I have 1024 MB. This 1024 MB, we need to convert to KBs. Okay, 1024 into KBs. How many KBs it is going to come into the picture? Let me take it. 1024 into 1024. How many KBs you want to make? Clear. Go ahead. 1024 into, suppose if I want to make 1 second, 1 GB, 1024 divided by 1024. Okay. 1024 into 1000. What is this? These many blocks we can make it. For this number, if you want to make it, this number divided by how much, like almost 10 lakhs is there, right? From 10 lakhs one, you want to give 2482 5 lakh. Okay, from 5 lakh 1 to 10 lakh. So in this way, this is one partition and this is another partition. In this way, you can divide it. Or else you can give completely 10 lakhs thing into one partition. That is also possible. That is kind of from weight to weight, how much size we are going to use it. That is the options which we have. By default, you can give it, no problem. That is the default starting. From starting sector is this one, 2048. And ending with completely, I'm going to give it. I'm not going to use for this thing. So now done. I am going to create one partition, single partition, and starting size is this, ending size is default one. Whatever it is there, maximum it is going to take it. The default value it is already taken. And if you want to save, one partition is going to create, okay, 1023 MBs. If you want to save, just click W. Done. My partition is completed. How should I know? Like how I know dev sd star. See here, SDF1 has been make a partition. Similarly, next one SDG, we need to make a partition. You can just remember only whatever. Once you enter this command, you can press N, then default values, all default. At last, you can give W. That's it. I'll quickly show you for this one how to make a partition. This G, new one, default, 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 and W. Partition created. See here it is up to SDF, has been partitioned. SDG now we did. Try now. SDG partition completed. Now we are going to do it SGH. All default. Next four, I can mention next four options default. We have four options, right? And last fifth option is W. See, I'll show you that. H, N, we need to press new partition. 1 default, 2 default, 3 default, 4 default, then save, fifth option. Done. Partition created. Yeah, H is also done. If you want to, no need to go for next one is I. Make a partition. Then J, new partition, W, K, new partition, yes, W, L, new partition, M, new partition, save, N, new partition, save, new partition, save. Now LSF and LD, dev SD star, check. O is partitioned, N is partitioned, M is partitioned, L, K, J, I, H, G, everything is partitioned. The same thing. Do I need to do the same thing in our Node 2? Check it once on Node 2 I connected. Here it is going to show it, right? Earlier, there is no partition for this. Let me recheck it. It is going to make a partition as or no? It is not showing, right? The same activity, let us do this on Node 2 also. It is a shadable only, but whatever we have added, this should be what I can say. If we can try to do that, it is going to fail out. What we can do is let me quickly reboot these machines. Okay, then it is going to reflect that shareable one. I'm not done at Node 2. Let me bounce and then we can see it. Power off. Or else you can use init 0 option also to restart your machines. Okay. Generally, what happened, right? These things we used to do before the session start. Why? Because these are the time-taking processes. If I want to do the lab, directly I can go ahead and show that creating the ASM disk from this step onwards, we can do it directly. But it is not the way, right? We have to show it from the thing. That's where I mentioned we can see it from the starting step onwards. Even though if it is taking time, no issues. Let me restart it. You should aware what exactly happening when we are doing these tasks. Okay. Then node 1. Let me check on node 2 LSF and LD dev SD star. See now, We did not done these things on Node 2. Why? Because they share virtual machines, right? Virtual disks, shared virtual disks. That's where if it is not reflect, you can just restart your machines one more time. Then it is going to applicable or updated on your Node 2 also. This is our Node 2. What we did, we just bounced it, virtual machines. So here also partition is completed. Partition we can done on only one node. Let me make a node. Do nodes bounds. This partition reflect on node 2. After that, reboot. Don't do partitions on node 2. You can do any one of that machine. From node 2 also we can make a partition and that will reflect to node 1. Vice versa, anything is fine. Okay, but this is a just a hint. Now we can see these things. First of all, let me check list of the disks which are there on my Oracle ASM list disk. How many disks we are having? ASM disk 0, 1, 2, 3. These many disks. Now we are going to create ASM disks. Okay, and this is a node 2. Node 1, I'm trying to give the same thing. Same only. It won't like there is no difference in both of them. If any difference is there, you can scan it. Oracle ASM scan disks. Okay. So this one scan is not required. If you are going to add it or created something that needs to be reflected on other node, then you need to do the scan. Otherwise, list disk is fine. These are our disks. Now, up to 03 we have. Now I'm going to create it ASM disk 0, right? Disk 4 onwards, I'm going to create 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. F1 I'm going to use. See here. This F1 I'm going to use for our disk 4. Disk 5, yes, this one I'm going to use. Disk 6, disk 7, disk 8, disk 9. These partitions I'm using to create ASM disks. Likewise, you can create up to O, right? SDO. JKLMNO. 3 is required, right? Let me copy 3, paste it, rename it 11, 12, 13. Here also you need to change IJKL M1, N1, O1. Perfect. Now we can create a disk by using this option. Any node, you can try from any node. It means it is created, done. How we need to find, like, again, list disks is there, right? You can see ASM disk 4 came, right? Now we are going to create disk 5. So disk 5 came. Remaining things we no need to look into it. Directly, you can copy paste all of them at a time. Okay, now we can check. Disk 0, 1, disk 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all disks coming to the picture. So earlier we have 4 disks. Now we added 10. So total 14 should be there. You can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Right? We have created 14 disks is there as of now. The same thing, can you check on node 2? It is not showing, right? Here we need to do the scan. Then only it will show you. Okay, scan disk is required on node 2. There we don't need to create again the disks. If you do the scan, it will read it from the libraries internally and it is going to initiate it. See, these are all the disks which we are going to create it, added on the node 1. So this is the one where we need to take it up. From node 2 on node 2, do the scan disks. That's it. And then we can try the list disks option. See, on node 2, we can able to see all the disks. After the scan, right? That's where the scan will be help. That's fine. I don't think these things is not required here unnecessarily. Right. These activity we performed from the root user. So we have created the ASM disks using ASM library, Oracle ASM. Now what we done? VM level virtual disks done. Partition of the virtual disks, partition completed, and created ASM disks. Perfect. Now ASM can able to read these things, and then we can able to create the disk groups. We can use these disks now. We can use these disks now, and then we can create a disk groups. Okay, that we can do it in, where this is notepad, right? Okay, we can do it in two ways, in command line or by using GUI mode. In GUI mode, ASMCA will be there. Okay, that you need to connect it from grid user. PS-EF pipe grub small, set the environment for your ASM plus ASM1. Now you can use ASMCA command. ASMCA command. If you want to do the disk groups creation, disk group, add the disk to disks, that if you want to do, you can do it from the GUI mode. This is the GUI mode. So here, if you want to create a disk groups, select on the disk groups. Okay, you can click on the create. We have already 4 disk groups: archive, data, data DZ group, OCR group. Okay, if you want to add a disk to disk group, suppose your activity is this disk is filled, the data disk group is, suppose here it is having 0 use, I mean, what I can say, not the 0, it is 100% filled up. Here it is free GB is 0, it is filled up. You need to add a disk to this disk group. That is only option we have. We need to add a disk, extra disk with another 5 GB or 10 GB or 2 GB. We need to add a disk to this disk group. How we can do it? We can do that by using alter command, or we can do directly come to here, click on the right click on this one and add disks. See here, we have whatever we have provisioned, all the disks are going to show it here. 10 disks we have provisioned right now, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Few of the disks we have created with 2 GB size, few of them we created with 1 GB size. If you want to add a disk to the disk group, data disk group, you just select it. Here it is, the disk group name is data. If you select this one, 2 GB disk is going to add it to your data disk group and click OK. In this way, we are going to add it. But what we are going to do it here is, we will try to do it in our this one, command line. If you want to do that in command line, we have to connect with SQL plus as a CCASM after you set the environment for your grid, and we are going to do it this one, create a disk group. If you want to create a new disk group, here it is very easy. From command line, if you want to create a new disk group, just click on the disks, click on create button. Here you can give the disk group name. What disk group you want to give? DGN. DG means disk group, N means normal redundancy. If I can give H means high redundancy. If I can give E means external redundancy. And also I told you, right, if you are trying to assign an allocation unit, right, if you are using GUI mode at the time of disk group creation, this allocation unit default is 4 MB. But if I can create a disk group using this command, alter or create a disk group command, our allocation unit is 1 AU, 1 MB, 1 MB only, AU it will take. I'll show you that also. Okay, AU size. What I can show is, yeah, I show you that as well. Only this allocation unit is the smallest unit into your ASM disk groups. While you are going to create a disk group, allocation unit is going to mentioning. In GUI mode, we are going to create, it is going to select by default 4 MB. If you want to make a changes, you can do also. If you want to make allocation, by default 1 MB, it is not less than 1 MB. Okay. If you want to create 1 MB, you can give, but by default it's selected 4 MB. If you want to give allocation unit to 64 MB, you can give it. The more you are going to use, the more performance will be there, depends on the environment. Okay, if I can select See here, if I want to create a normal redundancy disk group, I'm going to give it DGN. And if I selected only one group, one disk, how many disks we require to create a normal redundancy? Can someone tell? How many disks we required to create a normal redundancy disk group?
2 disk group.
Perfect. For high redundancy?
3 disk.
See here, if I put my cursor here, it is showing how many copies? 3 copies of data, right? Are you able to see it or not? Print screen. Let me post that into WordPad. When I put my cursor on high, it is showing 3 copies of data. This one you can observe, okay? This one. If I put my cursor on here, similarly, I'll show you now. Let me show you now real one. If I put my cursor, how many copies it is showing? 3 copies of data. If I put on external one, how many copies? No copy of data. And if I put my cursor on normal, 2 copies of data. Understand? Normal redundancy, 1 striping, 1 mirroring. Minimum 2 disks we need to add. For high redundancy, we need to add 3 disks minimum. If you are trying to, I'm trying to create high redundancy disk group, DGH, I am mentioning. Now I selected only 1 disk. Shall I create, I'm trying to create it. You can see it now. What it is saying? You need 2 disks from at least 3 different failover groups, excluding quorum disks and quorum failover groups. This is different. It is going to fail out. For high redundancy, you need to select 3 disk groups. Then it is going to select succeeded. Okay. Similar way, if I want to select a normal redundancy, I want to create a normal redundancy disk group. I selected only 1 disk. Okay. Let me try. You need 2 different failovers, at least 2 different, like 2 disks you required. And it won't succeeded. But in case of external redundancy, I selected 1. If I select external redundancy, now you can see it. If I can click on this, even we can do the backend also. For other things, I'll show you backend. Okay. For understanding purpose, right? We can do that, no problem. So this, whatever it is there in the disk, this one I'm going to, let me maximize this. If I can able to, yes, I can. Perfect. Now we have these 10 disks, right? Now I'm going to make to use of disk 4. Orderly, we can go ahead. Disk 4 is there. This disk 4, if I want to use to create external redundancy disk, okay, allocation unit, oh, this one we need to make a change, guys. 4 MB default, okay. If I click on it, it will create it. It will not throw an error. Why? Because external redundancy, 1 disk is fine. For normal redundancy, you need to select 2 disks. Okay, this is going to create a disk group. Done. Newly created disk group external, it is created successfully. Understand? Now I don't want to use this disk group. If I want to drop it, you can drop it. Drop disks. Click on this part and enter this member. Click OK. Dropping disk group from disk is failed. Not all attempts and perform insufficient disk space for rebalancing confirmation. What exactly meaning of this? You already have 1 disk. ASM is looking for the rebalancing. If you want to remove this disk, you need to add 1 more disk and then only you can delete this disk group. As of now, we have disk 4 we added, right? Disk 4 we have added. So for this, if you want to drop it, you can use different options to drop the disk groups. Okay, that is different options. You can make a mount and dismount. This one refresh. Okay, that I'll show it in the back end. Okay, if you want to drop any one of the disk group, it won't allow you directly to drop it. Okay, we need to do certain kind of steps where we are going to drop it the disk directly. Okay, you can see it in the front end, right? I showed you how to create a disks and how to add a disk to disk group. Like if I want to add one more disk in the front end to my external redundancy disk 1. So how many free disks we are having? It will show you, right? 4 is not in, it is not showing. Why? Because it's already used. Now I'm going to use 5. 5 I am going to add to this disk group. Add it. Once this is done, we can able to delete it any one of the disks from the disk group. Yes. For DG, I have added 2 disk groups, 2 disks as of now. So for this, if I want to drop, see here, now I'll try to delete ASM disk 4 from my external redundancy. I can do that, select that, and you can drop it. Why? Because we already have a 5, so it will allow you to delete it. So now I have deleted the one disk from disk group E. Now you can see the status. See, the status is changed. These are all the provisioned. Provisioned means header status that is showing. Provisioned means newly, like ready to use. This disk we did not use yet. We did not used this disks. It's a, what I can say, branded, newly created disks. Status is provisioned. Once you already provisioned, I mean after you added this disk to some other disk group and then you deleted, that is going to farmer. Farmer status. Farmer means already used one, we deleted and it is free now. So if I can use this to add any one of that, like for data or later one, if I want to add again, let me check. The same farmer disk, if I want to add to this one, click on it. See, it is going to add it. But you just understand what is the meaning of provision, what is the meaning of farmer. Farmer is already used one, we are going to make a format. Like again, if I want to make a 5, I want to delete it now. 5, I want to delete it. I did the 5 deletion. Now you can see. See, 5 came into the picture and it is saying he's a farmer, old one, already used one, but it is free now. But one time he already used. If you used any one of the disk one time and then you dropped it, that is free. That status in the headers it is showing farmer disk. You never used, you just created the ASM disks. You never used that new branded disk. That status is provisioned. That is only difference. So you saw, right, how to create a disk group and how to add a disk to disk group and how to drop a disk from the disk group from the GUI console. Now we can see it from the command line. Okay, now it is time is 9:08. Okay, shall we do it our next session? If you want, you can close exit that one, or shall we continue? It won't take more than 10 minutes to do that, and we can conclude the ASM part. That's where. Guys, can you quickly answer this one? Can we continue or like next 10 to 15 minutes and then we can close for today? Yes. Now we can see it, how to create a disk groups. So we no need to do all these things. Okay. For normal redundancy, if you are going to give one disk, it won't allow you. It is going to fail out. Okay. That we already saw from the GUI. Okay. Let me show you now. If you want to create or do the alter, delete or drop from the backend command line, you have to connect with your ASM. SQL plus as a sysASM. Okay. Try to create it. It required 2 failover groups. We found only one. That's where it is going to fail out. For try to do the high availability one. External, it is going to create. There is no issue at all. Let me try to do the same thing. High redundancy. The same thing. Let me try. Normal redundancy, right? I'll give you high. HIGH, high redundancy. I'll make H. Okay, disk 5 is already there. Okay, disk 5 is already there freely. Or else if you want, you can check the existing disks. Availability disks, OR, Oracle, ASM list disks. This is 4 is there. From ASM disk, we can able to see it. Let me try to create high redundancy. High redundancy disk group is create a disk group name with the redundancy. External redundancy, normal redundancy, high redundancy. Which redundancy you want to select? So it is going to fail out, saying that at least 3 failover groups, at least 3 disks we need to give to create your high redundancy thing. That's where it is going to fail out. For external redundancy, obviously it will succeed it. There is no point, right? Yeah, that is where. And these two are the fails and the succeeded. If you want to see the succeeded one, see here. Create a disk group name, normal redundancy I'm going to create. And I want to show you one more thing also before I'm going to create. Let me take one more session of this quickly. Set the environment vara env plus asm1. ASM CMD is the command line utility for your ASM LSDG. It will show you the list of disk groups inside your ASM. We have archiver one is there, data is there, DEG there, DGR group or D group is there, OCR is there. Just now we created from the front end, right? DGE. GUI mode we created this. Type of the disk group, external. We did not created normal or high redundancy yet. And here AU size you can see 4 MB, it's a KB, it's mentioned in KBs, but we can see it's a 444. See here, when you created this, I created in the backend, it's showing 1 MB. AU allocation when you created, default is 1 MB from the command line. GUI mode 4 MB. All remaining things we created using the GUI mode. Now I'm going to create normal redundancy that is not there yet. Okay, normal redundancy I'm going to create. Then we can see it. Normal redundancy. Create disk group DGN. The disk group is not there here. DGN. Archive is there, data is there, DGE is there, N is not there. DG group is there. Okay, let me create it. See here, disks in the disk group do not have equal size. And one more important, that's where I have created 1 GB and 2 GB things. See, we have created the disks with a different size, 1 GB and 2 GB, right? Quickly, we can take it from here. ASMCA. Wherever you are going to select the disks, the disk should be having same size. One disk is 2 GB, one disk is 5 GB. That will throw an error. That's where I have created in 2 different sizes. See here, I just want to show you the free disks. See, disk 5 is having 2 GB. Disk 6 is having 1 GB. These two I'm trying to use here. Disk 5, 2 GB. Disk 6, 1 GB. It is saying do not have equal size. It should have equal size. Then only it will be helpful to add it. Otherwise, ASM will throw an error. That is a strict rule. This is one rule. So now what we need to do? 5 is 2 GB. Now I'm going to give a, either I can use 6 and 7 or 5 or other things, 5 or 8. Now I can give 6 and 7 for our these things, 6 and 7. I'll give 6, 7 disks for normal redundancy. 5 I'll give it for somewhere else. Now I'm trying to create it. It will create. So disk size also matter. The disks, whatever you are going to add it, that should be a similar size. Now disk group is created successfully. Now we can see it from here, or from here also we can see it. Cancel. Refresh it. See, disk group recently what we have created, that is there. Exit. That is from command line, this one, GUI mode. If you want to see the command line, LSDG. LSDCK or DSK something. List disks. These are all our disks. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. These are all the disks which are presenting on this one. Okay. Used one, whatever the disks we have used to create our disk groups, these are the ones. And remaining 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13, those we haven't used it. These disks we are using. These are all the disks which are there. And these are all the disk groups. See, I have created DGN. What is the type of that? It's a normal redundancy. And we created from the command line. Allocation unit size is 1 MB. If I created from the console or GUI mode, that is 4 MB. Default, I am talking about the default. If you want to give more, we can give it also. That is possible. But default values 1 MB from the command line, 4 MB from the GUI mode. And external mode or redundancy or normal redundancy or external redundancy. For normal redundancy, we need to add 2 disks. And external redundancy, 1 disk is fine. High redundancy, I'm going to create now. High redundancy, I'm going to create it now. The same thing we can use, just you can mention here, high only. Let me mention, okay, or else I should have somewhere. Yeah, here it is. High redundancy and the disk. What are the disks we are having now? The numbers we can see it. 4 is free, 5 is free, but the size is different, right? The different sizes is there. What else? What else? Let me take quickly. ASMCA. That's almost done, guys. So another 2 to 3 minutes, we can close it. Let me quickly check it and then we can. In this way only, we are going to create the disk groups and adding the disk, dropping the disks, and all those things. From anywhere you can check it. Free disks, it will going to show you. Normal redundancy. See, now it is going to take up to, like, in real time also, sometime you will get this one. Depends on your server memory, like how quickly this is going to access. That is the matter. Patience is required. Or else we can check in the disk group sizes also, whatever we have created. We should have quickly check it from here only, right? Why should we go with? See here, disk 2, 1 GB, 1 GB, 4 and 5 is there. And last disks we can use for 9 and 10, 2 to 2 GB, right? Last 13, whatever we have, right? 13, 14, 15, something like that. Those we can use it. Okay. Let me try those things. LSF and LD, dev, SD star. And also, where is your Oracle ASM disks, right? Dev, Oracle ASM disk star. Let me exit. Here your disk, after you created the disks, right? Those will store into this location. Okay, this location. So I want to go ahead and give 11, 12, 13 for my high redundancy. 11, 12, 13 disks. 11, 12, 13. Why high redundancy? 11, 12, 13. You want to give the name, otherwise it will automatically, it will give internally. You no need to mention controllers or other things, failover groups, control one and other thing. That is optionals, right? If you want to give, you can give. Otherwise, just use this command, create disk group name, high redundancy, and the disk. See, I'll give you this command. This one. No need to mention anything. Just give the disk in single quotes. Next one also you can give. This way also you can give. Automatically the failure group names, automatically that will take it. And the controller name also it is going to take it. And this name of the disk also it is going to create it. If you want to create your own name, you have to mention this complete command. This command also works. This command also works. Either thing, any one of that is fine. Okay. For understanding purpose, I'm going to make it this command. Or else if you want, I'll give it this one also. No issues. We can use any one of that. Now external redundancy, I'm going to create it. For that, we need to connect with SQL plus as sysasm. Where exactly happening? Add disk. It should. Any single quotes issues?
Comma is missing, sir.
Comma. Where is that? That's where. That's fair, right? Without giving that failover group and all, that's for our end. Otherwise, ASM itself, it is going to give that failover group names, everything it is going to give it. We don't need to bother about those things. Still, it is going to load it, no problem. We can exit from there. So if it is not going right, what we can do is Control C. Obviously, it is going to cancel that command line. Sometime it is going to take a time. That's okay. Even if you are re-entering this, it will come out again, GUI mode. Okay, let it be. See here, now something is updated and then it is going to open in that format. See here, we have external high redundancy just before we have created high redundancy. Okay, 3 disk groups. If you want to add one more disk group to high redundancy, you can see it, anything. Former disk, I'm going to add it. So I'm going to add one disk to my high redundancy. I'm going to add it. See, to create, it required 3 disks minimum. After you create it, you can add one. Okay, best practice is you can add 3 disks for high availability. Normal 2 disks you can add it. For high availability and this one, right? The storage usable. But while you are going to create, mandatory it is going for look for minimum 3 groups for high availability, disks for high availability, 2 disks for normal redundancy, 1 for external. After you create the disk group, one disk also you can add it. That will allow. Internally that will take care. Okay. Now if I have added 1 disk and now I want to drop one more disk. See here, I have disk 5. The name, disk name is automatically, it is going to give it automatically. We don't need to give anything. Failover group names also that is going to give it. Okay. Disk name and failover group names most of the times the same. Okay. If you want to differently, you can give it. ASM, it will give automatically. This command, right? We are going to provide the failover group disk 1 and the name of the disk. We are going to provide that. If you are using this, that will store this name only. If you are not going to use this, or ASM, if you are using plain command, ASM will create the names automatically. Okay. If I want to delete any one of the disk now, I can do that. I can do that. Let me drop 5. Let me drop the 5. If I want to do 2 disks drop, it won't allow. It won't allow. Why? Because it required 3 minimum, right? If I drop only 1, I can drop it. It will allow us. Why? Because minimum 3 is required for the disk groups, right? It is dropped already. For normal redundancy, where it is? This one. For normal redundancy, drop disks. How many disks we are having? I'll check that. Some issue with the normal redundancy only. Remaining things, it's working fine. See, when we are going to do that, it is going to hang it up. Okay. What I can do is I'll drop normal redundancy disk group itself. It is hurting us, right? In the backend, we can do that. Okay. Backend, I'll do the drop command and alter command also. We can do it quickly. So we saw that create commands, command line we saw, and GUI mode also we can saw that. Now what I'm trying to do is you can use drop command directly. I want to drop this thing, this group N that is eating our head, right? I don't want to see that this group again. LSDG, this normal redundancy, this disk group, DGN, I'm going to drop it. DGN, I'm going to drop that. Drop disk group name from ASM. Done. That headache is done. Disk group, I have dropped it. Now you can see if you want LSDG. Disk group N is not there. H is there, E is there. And I want to drop DGE also, right? This one also not required. I'm going to drop that one. Drop disk group name DG group, D group. That also I'm going to drop it. Even you can use including content. As of now, we don't have any content, right? We just created the disk. If the content is there inside of the disk group, you can use include contents option. We can drop it. See, this group is mounted another ASM instance, so we are not going to do these things. This group not dropped. What is this? Let me use this. It is somewhere it is saying it is used in other disk group or somewhere. Let's try. Why it is not going to? Otherwise, we can see it later also. This I have created few, what I can say, yesterday, day before yesterday, something. And the disk group locations and other things also, I think it is disk group not dropped. Disk group is mounted by another ASM instance. What is this means? Let me check. Why? Because we have to drop it. I don't want the disk anymore. Okay. Alter disk group dismount. Then it is going to delete it. By using alter, we can make our disk groups. Let me check. For this issue, mounted, dismount it. Dismount. Even can I show you this in a GUI mode? Instead of this, clearly in the GUI mode also we can see it. Let it be now. It is mounted. It's saying that the disk is mounted in other disk. That's where it is not going to drop it. So now you can use. Include contents are normal also, you can use it. Does not exist. If it is a dismount, mount it and drop the disk group. It should not show any errors. Or else we can see in the console also, and we can think about this thing. Still, I have mounted and dismounted. Still, it is not going to. With CCASM only, we tried this group, dismount, drop disk including the contents. It is not dropped for us. For them, it is dropped. How come? Okay, no problem. This one is not helpful. What this guy is telling. We can see the status of the disks. Our disk group status from ASM. It is mounted on 2 instances. Okay. And other one, let us check with our disk groups which we have created. DGE and other disk groups, right? We have other disk groups also. We have DH. It is not mounted, right? Okay, what we can do is, I'll do quickly. Alter disk group, dismount it, and select the status of this. Here it is dismounted. Node 2, we need to do that. Okay, node 2, let me go ahead and quickly you can do node 2, great. Yeah. Dot vara env plus asm2 SQL plus as sys asm and then here this one. Now I have dismounted a node 2 also. Now we can drop it. Not drop. Okay, what sometime it may require the cluster reboot. If you can stop the cluster services, then it is going to make us comfortable. Even though you are going to make it mount also, I don't think so. That's okay. This is one kind of troubleshooting, it is best option to do this. Mount, unmount, how we are going to mount the disk groups and how to, if it is unmount, right, you cannot able to read the disks. You cannot able to read the disks. Okay, cannot able to read them. The disk should be in a mount status. That's how we can find our disk groups are. You can see this one. Instead of checking one disk, other disk groups we need to check. DGH is dismounted somewhere. Other disks are mounted. So this is not accessible on node 2. From the node 2, this is not going to accessible. What will happen? We need to bounce this system and then we need to do this DGH, right? If you can drop this, I think it will be dropped. DGH. Let me try to drop DGH. It will be dropped. There is no conflict. Why? Because it's on node 2. DGH is, it is not mounted. Only on node 1 it is mounted. That's where it is going to throws this error, right? And what I can say is, okay, understood. Here I can dismount. Here I can mount it. Let me check now. Mounted, mount. Okay, now we can use drop disk group. If it is a conflict, yeah, perfectly. So what will happen? Now we achieved it. Why? Because the node 2, whatever we have dismounted, and we need to mount this, and then we are going to drop this disk. And if I can mount it here back, what it is going to throw? Let's see. There is no proof. So this is the way how we are going to achieve it. Okay. Here and there we are going to make dismount and mount. So only one thing what we need to do is we need to check the status of the disks, disk groups, where you are going to initiate the drop. There it should be mount. If it is a dismount means switch off. If it is a switch off, you cannot perform any operations, right? It should be switch on, and other location you can switch off. Then you can drop it. That will allow. Okay. Now we have successfully dropped it. So how to drop, how to add a disk, we can see it now. Let me give you this also. It's very helpful for you also to do the, you can go through this video reference later on for your exercises. Okay. It's very helpful. What else? Alter disk group name, and add disk. Suppose I want to create, and let me create one new disk group for NE, and then we can close the session. Okay, let me do this. Only 2 minutes or 3 minutes. LSDG. We have all our external disk groups only. DGE is there. DGN, I'm going to create it. DGN. Okay, DGN. ASMCA. Let me create it from front end. And we can add a disk in the back end. Let me create a disk group from front end. It's very easy to do it. Why? Because how many disks available, which disks are available, everything is very easy from the console. Go up. So here I'm going to create normal redundancy DGN, normal redundancy. This is normal redundancy. AU is by default 4. Okay. We can use 2 GB disks, 8, 9 I can use for my normal redundancy. Later on, I can add 10 to my normal redundancy. Backend, I can add disk. As of now, I can use 8 and 9 disks for creating the normal redundancy disk group. DGN, I'm going to create normal redundancy disk group. Once that is done, yeah, almost done. Normal redundancy I have created. Okay, click exit. Yes. ASMCMD, LSDG. This normal redundancy, here it is. Our normal redundancy disk group has been created. AU size is 4 MB. Now what I do is I'm trying to add one more data file. As of now, how many data files we are having? 2 data files, 2 disks, not the data file. 2 disks we are having. Let me add one more disk to our normal redundancy one. How to add it? Alter disk group. Disk group name is DGN, right? DGN. Add disk. Which disk we are going to add it? We are going to add, where it is. 9, 10, we are going to add it. Disk 10, I'm going to add it. In this way, we are going to add minimum 2 disks, we need to add it. But yeah, as of now, I'm going to go with 10th disk. I'm going to add a disk to disk group. DGN I have added successfully. Okay. If I want to drop anything, we can drop it also. So these are all about our creating the disks, and dropping the disks, altering the disks. So any queries, guys? And then we can wind up. It took time, but yeah, we did almost all, like command line we did, graphical user level we did, additions, deletions, everything we did it. Any queries?
No.
Great. Thank you. Why? Because it's like a 10 to 15 minutes extra session, right? Let me close the session now.